You have Tiger Mark, Western Light Sandbirds, LC Duxford, and the number of the Hamlin Dominance, the military variant of the pt16 Dragon Repeat. Aircraft complaints serve indoor British Rubber Airlines. Very important for the team. Also during the war, used by the constituent parts of the Associated Airways Joint Committee, which amalgamated numerous carriers for resupply work during hostilities. Many civil Dragon Repeats were entrenched into RAF service upon the outbreak of war, but more than 500 more were produced as Dominies that were used for radio operator training and light transport by the RAF and the Fleet Air Arm of the Royal Navy. Some of them were used also as ambulance aircraft. Meanwhile, one of the most outstanding light aircraft of all time. Sold initially with just a 40 horsepower engine, only $1,000. The idea was to develop an aircraft for the masses, and that improved, but they also played a key role in the war effort. The schools that were involved in the US civilian pilot training program from 1938 onwards, well, most of them were equipped with J3 Cubs. In fact, at one stage, it was estimated that 80% of all US military pilots had undertaken initial training through that program on J3. Production rate of one stage was one Cub every 20 minutes. They came to be used extensively in every theatre of World War II, with US Army field units. They performed artillery spotting, medical evacuation, liaison, and light in-field transport. They were used as Army Air Force station tracks, at least by the 78th Fighter Group at Duxford. And US Army L4s were among the first Allied aircraft ashore on D-Day. There's a remarkable story of an L4H Cub from the 58th Armoured Field Artillery Battalion, the mount of one Lieutenant Thomas K. Turner, which was one of 2 Cubs along with 11 Jeeps that were aboard the so-called LCT, a landing craft tank that was making it over our beach. Water, when the landing craft grounded, Turners was hauled ashore. He was destroyed by artillery fire, but being as observers shouted, they were unhurt. Turner went back to England, picked up another Cub, and 11 days after D-Day, he landed on the cliffs above Omaha Beach. By the end of June 1944, 261 liaison aircraft, not just L4 Cubs, but also the larger L5 Sentinels, were operational with the First Army in France, assisting the ground troops as they made their way through the so-called blockade of Normandy, the compact tree and hedge-lined fields which is so characteristic of that part of northern France. The idea with the liaison aircraft was artillery spotting over the horizon direction of artillery fire. Of course, it was a very hazardous business for the pilots of these light aeroplanes. What we see here, which is owned by Adrian Akers, operated by Air Leasing, built in 1942, it went to the 8th Air Force. It served as a unit in France after the liberation. It's recently been restored by Richard Grace and the team at Air Leasing, flying again in 2012, in the markings of a Cub flown from the aircraft carrier USS Ranger for observation duties during Operation Torch, the Allied landings in North Africa of November 1942. We were picked up on the 9th of November that year. They were led in the lead Cub by Captain Ford Alcorn, who took off in his only on board with a 35-knot headwind 60 miles from shore, running into anti-aircraft artillery fire from US ships who didn't immediately recognise the little liaison aircraft. Then as they went over the beach, they were followed on by French gun batteries on the shore, as Alcorn himself was wounded and his aircraft set on fire. He just managed to sidestep it into land and get out of it before he could slow it. Rolling now, in formation, two examples of the Douglas So Dave Pulson bringing the Cub into land. The repeat we saw in that formation, a wartime veteran itself, built in 1941 to RAF order, used by #1 camouflage flight attendant. A couple of years later, he was transferred to civilian use because, as I said, a small number of civil airlines were allowed to operate during the war. Scottish Airways flew this one, in the regulation wartime colours for civil aircraft with red, white and blue stripes along the registration. The cabin windows which been whitewashed to stop the passengers seeing out, not least because the aircraft flew over the Navy base start to flow where those secret plates. Subject to a remarkable 27-year restoration headed by President Davis and Mark Miller. And there's Mark bringing the repeat into land. But it's the 9th Air Force that we now turn, which was stationed in the UK along with the mighty 8th. It was created to accompany the Allied armies as they fought their way to Germany. Its aircraft transported troops, they photographed enemy positions, they attacked targets on or near the front line. And on D-Day, C47 Skytrains like these two were very active. But they're both genuine veterans of the 9th Air Force because on the night of the 6th of June 1944, hundreds of these aeroplanes went into battle, some of them carrying paratroops, others towing troop-carrying gliders. Here, or so they can see the period footage.
In the late hours of June 5th, paratroopers boarded transports which would carry them behind the vital Utah beachhead area. aircraft continue to take off into the light. Shortly after midnight, on June 7th, the signal was rapid throughout the day.
One of the men flying American Air Force C47 on Vigo as part of that great aerial armada on bed lights.
The road is the two that get rid of the wall. So what is too bad? And we sure we were 120 miles an hour. Big change. Biggest time on ever, right? As we hit land track on the continental peninsula, there was a solid
commentary on the big screens.
with your wing almost inside the wing. Yeah, the other airplane. It disappears. You can't see your own wing. Everybody disappears. So what do? You have to take the racing action. Go through, turn the 30 degrees to the left, about 500 feet a minute. Go back on course, stay on course. Yeah, until you break out. So you're lost in the front and forth. You're not worried about that track or anything. You're worried about fatal collision. In training, it's amazing how your training tells you what to do in circumstances. You hope that it makes you feel good in the background of your mind. But you recognize where you feel what to do.
The part of the job that is the back of the tank, the experience is no less intense. So the really also just from the back of Normandy with the 82nd Airborne Division. The Aces High aircraft leading the pair was flown by Andrew Dixon and Charlie Walker, dragged a route by Peter Cowpers and Bill Tollett. But now back to Pearl Harbor and the Pacific. The 7th of December 1941 was a quiet morning in Hawaii. The airbase at Hickam Field was expecting the arrival of 12 B-17s. Typical Hawaiian music was being played by a local radio station to help the formation locate the islands. Otherwise, it was a peaceful scene. Then a formation of aircraft approached. Was it the escort for the B-17s? No. It was a formation of Japanese fighters and dive bombers on their way to attack the Hawaiian island.